Hello. In this video, I will do a universal math placement exam 9, and this will be part 1. I, there will be two parts, so this is part 1. So let's begin the exam. Okay, question 1 says, if f of x equals 9x plus 27, what is the inverse of f inverse? Right, so they want to find the inverse of this function. So there's here, let me write out the steps. You can find the inverse for any graph. So yeah, let's go over the steps. So step 1, Um, what I would do is replace f of x with y. That's the first step. Step 2, switch the x and y's. Step 3, solve for y. And then last step is replace y with f inverse. So you can apply this rule for any graphs, right? So let's do step 1, replace f of x with y. So it's going to be y equals 9x plus 27. Step 2, switch the x and y. So now this y is going to be an x, and this x is going to be y. Okay, step 3, solve for y. So what I'll do is subtract 27 for both sides. You get x minus 27 is to 9y. And then step keep on, so got to solve for y. So you got to predict this 9 by dividing everything by 9. So you get y equals to x minus 27 over 9. And then lastly, replace y with f inverse. There you go. So you don't see our answer, but I believe it's C, because you see this all over 9. You could just divide each term by 9. So what? Yeah, this all over 9 means you're dividing each term by 9. So really, it's just 1/9 x minus 3. There you go. There's letter C, and that's okay. So yeah, that's pretty much how you find numbers. So if you need to watch that video, watch it again. Steps, go and pause and rewatch. I'm going to move on to the next video. I mean, the next question. Step 2, I mean, question 2, which of the correct factorization of this polynomial? So it really is just simple factoring. Here, you can't factor out GCF, but it's simple factoring, or write out your two parentheses, right? And just be careful. We want an x square, y square, so you're going to put an x here, xy here, and xy there. So this is where you kind of have to use your head a little bit. What two numbers multiply -36 and when added gives you 16? Um, I believe it's 12 and 4, right? Wait, no. Oh my, I forgot. Think. It would be 18 and 2. There we go. 18 and 2, and I want a -36, and I want when added gives a positive 16. So I believe I'll use -2 because 18 times -2 is -36, and 18 plus -2 is positive 16. There you go. So it's going to be positive 18 and minus 2. So what answer is that? X, Y plus 18. X, Y. Yes, letter D. So it's xy plus 18. Ooh, careful. I need an xy. So xy plus 18, xy minus 2. There you go. Letter A. Okay, perfect. Question three, order from least to greatest. Um, if you know how to, you can use you are provided a calculator on this universal math placement exam. So if you want, you can rewrite this as a decimal. So one half as a decimal would be 0.5. One third as a decimal would be 0.33. And then 7/8 as a decimal would be 0.875, right? So yeah, what you want to do is go from smallest to largest. So my smallest looks like it's 0.33. So that's one third. And then one half. And then the largest is the 0.75. So that would be 7/8. Just like that. So it looks like it's letter B, right? One third, one half, 7/8. There you go. Okay, this one. Uh, Simplified expression is 0.03 divided by 10. Like I said before, you could use the calculator that they provide you, 0.03 divided by 10 is exactly 0.003. But let's say you didn't want to use a calculator, so how do we do it without a calculator? You're going to do the box method. 0.03 goes inside the box, 10 goes outside, right? Now, we're lucky 10 doesn't have a decimal. If 10 had a decimal, you're going to move it, but it doesn't, send it lines up. So 10 goes into the zero, it's too big, so you put a zero here. 10 goes into the zero, it's too big, and then 10, okay, this one's straight. Okay. 10 goes into 3, it's too big, right? So you're gonna put an extra zero. Then you gotta, so this is gonna be 0 and then 3, and then you bring down this invisible 0. 10 go into 30, come 3 times. So that's how I got 0.003. Letter C. Calculate that a circle has a radius of 5, calculate the area. So this one you just need to know the area of a circle. The area is, I believe it's pi r square. Let me double check on that. I always get that confused with volume. Yes, it is. That's correct. So you just fill in the blanks. It's pi, and then they tell us the radius is 5, so it's gonna be 5, and then square that. That's gonna be pi, and then 5 squared is 25, and then that gives you 20. Okay, so that's letter A, 25 pi. Question six, evaluate 31% of 20. So this is, uh, you could just, so 30, how do I rewrite? I can rewrite 31% as decimal. So 31% is decimal. You can write it as 31 over 100, or you can also write it as a decimal by moving it two places to the left. That's what I'm going to do. It's much easier than that, much easier. Move it two places to the left, so that's going to be 0.31. The word of in a word problem always means multiplication, so I'm going to do some parentheses to represent multiplication, and then you have that 20. And you literally just put it in the calculator and you're good. So 0.31 by 20, that's 6.2. Okay, so that is 6.2, that is letter C. Okay, this one. Find the area of the shaded region. So basically the blue region. So how do you find the area of this blue stuff? Do you see there's two shapes? There is a rectangle and a circle. So all you got to do is find the area of the rectangle minus the area of the circle. That's it. And you are good. So what is the area of a rectangle? It is length times width, or 2 by 1. So that's 2. Minus the area of a circle is, I believe it's pi r squared. So that's going to be pi, and then the radius is given as 0.25 squared. And that's going to be 0.25 squared is 0.0625. That's 2 minus 0.06255, and that is going to be 1.8036. Or actually, it's this value. Uh, 2 minus 0 point, this one, right? It's 2 minus 0.0625. Determine the volume of a cylinder with the radius is 2/3 and the height of 4/5. So you do need to know the formula, or yeah, you need to determine the volume. So what is the volume of a cylinder? So volume of cylinder is this. It's V equals pi r squared times A. So it's pi, and then my radius is 2/3 square, and then my height is 4/5. What's pi, and then 2/3 is 4/9 times by 4/5. Let's see, 4 times 4 is 16, 9 times 5 is 45. So you could put the pi in front or on the side, so that would be 16 over 45. It's like that's letter A, right? 16 over 45. Use a multiplicative property of equality to solve the equation for x. You have 2x equals 10. So if I want to solve for x, it's just one step. That's it. I have to get rid of this 2. Do not subtract 2. This is this is squished, so it's really saying 2 times x equals 10. what you want to do is you want to save the x, right? You don't want to get cancel x, so you can't subtract 2 or 2x because you don't cancel out the x. So instead you want to do the opposite of the multiplication, just dividing. So you get x equals 5. Then the slope of the equation y equals 6 minus 3x. So this equation is really close to y equals mx plus b. But what you want to do is, as you can see, it's the slope is the number in front of the x. So if you rewrite this, you could put the negative 3x first. So my slope is negative 3. Okay. Question 11. Solve for A. Given the triangle below, that D is 110, so angle D right here is 110 degrees. And angle B is 45. You gotta solve for A. Solve for A. So you gotta find angle A. Um, I can't do it without finding out angle C, right? Because yeah, I can't find angle A without finding angle C. So what do you see the relationship between angle C and angle D? So angle C plus angle D is what's called supplementary because it forms a straight line. So that equals 180. So let's see, angle C and then angle D is 110 equals 180. So try 110. Submeter. All right, angle C is 70 degrees. What is angle A? So to find angle A, now you can find angle A because you know that the sum of a triangle doesn't matter what triangle it is. It's always going to be 180, right? So it's a 45 plus 70 plus angle A is 182. So 45 plus 70 is 115 plus angle A is 180. And subtract 115 for both sides. So 180 is 65 degrees. Okay, so angle A is 65. Question 12, solve for x. So we have the absolute value of 2x. That's not a 12. This is a vertical line. Absolute value of 2x minus 4 equals 12. So the first thing, you're going to get two answers when you're dealing with absolute value, but the first thing you got to check if you actually have solution. So the first thing I would check is make sure there's nothing near the absolute value. We're lucky there's nothing near the absolute value. The next thing I would do is make sure this number is positive. So if it was absolute value 2x minus 4 equals negative 3, that that's false. You would say no solution. Okay, so yeah, so first step is make sure there's nothing near the absolute value. Then you also have to make sure this 3 is positive, or this whatever this number is positive. That 3 wasn't positive, it would be no solution. So now you'll write out your two equations. So the first one is basically the same without the absolute value. The second one is 2x minus 4, and then instead of negative positive, we use -3, right? Okay, go ahead and solve for x. You're going to add 4 to both sides. You get 2x equals 4 plus 3 is 5, 6, 7. And then divide this by 2, you get x equals 7 halves. Okay, same thing here. You're going to add 4 to both sides. Get 2x equals to 4 minus 3 is 1. 4 minus 3 is 1, and then divide this by 2. You get x equals 1 half. Okay, so those are my two x values, 7 halves and 1 half. 7 halves. So yeah, let's see. Okay, question 13, complete the square in the following expression, x squared plus 6x plus 5. So we have x squared plus 6x plus 5 equals 0. So what you want to do is complete the square. So yeah, did you know you can eliminate A, B, and C just based on the looks? Because completing the square is going to be in the form of a vertex, right? It's going to be usually in this form, y equals a parentheses x minus h squared plus k. So as you can see, none of these a, b, and c are in the form of this. So you can eliminate that, and you're left with d. If you're really lost, that's what you could have done. So it is d, but how did we get this answer? How did we get that? So I'll show you. So what you have to do is first move the constant to the right. So you're going to subtract 5. So you get x squared plus 6x, and then blank space. And then on the right, 0 plus -5 is -5. Okay. Then what do I put in this blank space? I just take half of your b. So if your b is 6, take half of that. That's 3. And then we're going to square that, just going to be 9. So you get add 9 here, add 9 there. So you get x squared 6x plus 9. And then 9 minus 5 is 1, 2, 3. That's 4. And then what you want to do on the left side is kind of go backwards, put it in factor form. So it's going to be x and then half of your b. So if your b is 6, half of that is 3. Square that equals to 4. And then what you're going to do is move this constant to the left. So as you can see, this is my answer, parentheses x plus 3 square minus 4. Okay, so that is letter D. Question 14, find the solution of the system equation. So you can do elimination. I'll do that real quick, but you can also test each one to figure out if test each one and if the left on both equation, and then if the left equals right, that's the one. But I'm just gonna do elimination, and I'm going to get rid of the x. So to get rid of the x, I'm gonna multiply the first equation by 2. So you get 2 times -x, which is -2x. 2 times 2y is positive 4y. 2 times 1 is 2. And then the bottom, I didn't do anything, so just write it down. And then the x cancels. 4y plus 1y is 5y. 3 plus 2 is 5. And then divide this by 5. You get y equals 1. Now I'm going to solve for x by, I guess I could plug this y value to the second one. I could also put it the first one, but don't put it here. So that's not original, right? So I'm going to put in the second one, so it's 2 times x plus y, which is 1 equals 3. Subtract 1 from both sides. 3 minus 1 is 2. Divide this by 2. You get x equals 1. Okay, so x equals 1, y equals 1, x equals 1, y is equal to 1. X equals 1, y equals 1, so that's an A. Uh, hold on, I mean, okay, this one. So 15 says solve the inequality. Right. So yeah, what you want to do is it's almost done for you. This is called test plan method. And it's not as bad as it looks. It's already almost done, like almost done for you. So first thing is gotta make sure the right side is 0. There's nothing, yeah. If it isn't, then you gotta move things around. So, and then it is 0. But then what I would do is look at the symbol. It says greater than equal to. That represents a positive sign. So what does that mean? I'll explain in a bit. Then what I'm going to do is actually find my x's. So if you want, you can write this as an equation, not in an inequality. So when I solve, I get x equals -1 and x equals 4. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is put it on a number line. So positive is on the right, smaller one to the left. And then we have 1, 2, 3 values, 3 areas we got to test. And we're going to put it in f of x equals to x plus 1 times x minus 4. Okay, so let's test region 1. What is region 1? We need a number smaller than -1, so that would be -2. So where have you seen x plug in -2? So it's -2 plus 1, -2 minus 4. -2 plus 1 is -1. -2 minus 4 is -6. That is positive 6. 6 is positive, so we're going to put a plus. Region 2, I need a number between -1 and 4. What's a number between -1 and 4? I believe 0. We could use whatever you like. You could use 1, 2, right? 3. So if I plug in 0, this is going to be 0 plus 1, 0 minus 1. You know what? You don't really have to, over this part, you don't really have to worry about the number. So just figure out if it's positive or negative. So 0 plus 1 is positive 1, but I don't care about the number. I only care about the sign. It's positive, right? 0 minus 4 is -4 or a negative. And what do we know about positive times a negative? It is negative. So we're going to put a minus. And then region 3, I need a number greater than 4, so you could do 5. So when you do that, that's going to be uh, 5 plus 1, 5 minus 4. 5 plus 1 is 6, or positive number. 5 minus 4 is positive 1. So positive times a positive is positive. Okay, now we only care. So if you go back to your sign, we only care about positive sign. So we only care about region 3 and region 1, right? So how would I express region 1? You can express that as x is less than equal to -1. And then how would I express region 3? It would be x is greater than equal, wait, yeah, greater than equal to 4. So it looks like B, right? x is less than or equal to -1, or x is greater than or equal to 4. Okay, so that is called the test point method. Graph the equation. So 16, we have this parabola, and we got to graph it. So what you need, like, you don't really need that much. You can sometimes, because this is a multiple choice, you can just, okay, so let's figure out what we need. What do we know about this? It is a parabolic quadratic, and it's also positive, so it's concave up. Why is it concave up, or how do I know it's concave up? Because this A, or this invisible one, is positive, right? So it is concave. If there was a negative in front of the x, it would be concave down, correct? Okay, and it's concave up. What else do we know? Um, the y-intercept. So the y-intercept, all you got to do is plug in 0 into the function, and that puts out -1. So you have a y-intercept of 0, -1. Okay, what if could I also find the vertex? Yes, I can. So the vertex is basically the lowest or the highest. So it would be, in our case, because it's concave up, it would be the lowest point, right? So how do you find the vertex? You can use this equation, x equals opposite b over 2a. So you got to figure out your a, b, and your c. So your a is 1, your b is -6, and your c is -1, right? So what is the opposite of b? It is +6, and it's 2 times a, 2 times 1. That's 6 over 2, which is 3. And then how do you find the y value of the vertex? All you got to do is plug in 3 into the function. So that would be 3 squared minus 6 times 3 times 1. And again, like I said before, we can use a calculator. So put that all in the calculator, you get -10. So my vertex is going to be at 3 comma -10. And I mean, I think you could just get away with that. If you could find the x-intercept, but I don't want to because it's just more work. I know you probably have to. How would you find the x-intercept? You would have to set y to 0 and solve for x, and I believe you're gonna have to use quadratic because this doesn't factor out nicely. So if we could figure it out, we know we have a y-intercept of 0, -1. So is it a? Maybe. I can't really tell because I don't know how they're going increments of 5. Okay. So maybe yes, and then do we have a vertex of 3 comma -10? Maybe. Oh no, this is wrong, right? So it's not a. Is it B? No, it's not. The vertex is all wrong. Is it C? Let's see. No, the vertex is off. Okay, what about D? It looks good. 3 comma -10. Yes, 3 comma -10. Y-intercept 0 comma -1. Good. Yes, I would say D is the one. So I know you do have, yeah, you don't want to spend too much time graphing it nicely because this is a multiple choice. 17, which of the following equation represents a translation of 3 of the function f of x equals 3 log x plus 8, x plus 6 plus 8, 2 units to the left. So you're shifting it at 2 units to the left. Oh, so you're only changing is this, right? The plus 8 stay the same, this 3 stay the same. It's just the x plus 8 changes. So how do I 2 units to the left? I think it's either plus 2, so that would be 8 plus x plus 8. Check. Yes. You're gonna have to add 2 for the in front of this x to represent 2 units to the left. So it's gonna be f of x equals 3 log, and then this is gonna be x plus 8 plus 8. So that looks like it's letter D, right? 3 log x plus 8 is 8. Okay, 18. This is just a simple order of operation. See this slant line? You can rewrite this as negative 12 times negative 2 minus a minus. Okay, like that. And you're gonna do that pandas thing. Pandas, pandas. So do we have a parentheses? Yes, but there's nothing more to do inside these two parentheses. Do we have an exponent? No. Do we have a multiplication? Yes. Negative 12 times negative 2 is positive 24. And then, yeah, I think that's it. Do we have a division? Yes. So negative 75 divided by negative 3 is 25, right? Negative 75 divided by negative 3 is positive 25. And then you have this extra minus, so bring that down. And then did the division, addition, no. We have subtraction, yes. 24 minus 25 is definitely negative 1. Here we go. In 19 says all carbon-14 atoms undergo a natural and harmless chemical reaction known as beta decay, whereby they turn into nitrogen 14. Given an initial mass Mi of carbon-14, the final mass Mi remaining after 2 years is given by the equation below. If an average blue whale has 0.02182 grams of carbon-14 in its bones when it's alive, while this replenish from its interaction with environment and atmosphere, how much will how much will be present 10,000 years after the whale's death? So 10,000 years. So yeah, just list what you have. So 10,000 years, that's our time. So you're gonna say t equals 10,000. What else do we have? What is the MI? It's your initial amount. So do we have an initial amount? Yes. An average blue whale has 0.0. So your MI or your initial amount is 0, 0.00212. So it's just MFT of 10. So T's are 10,000. My initial amount is, what was our initial amount? It was 0. 0.00218, and then it's going to be E, and then it's going to be negative 0. How many zeros? That's 3 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1 times it by the time, which is 1,000. Okay, so I don't know if you could simplify this power before you put it in the calculator just to make your life easier. So that's what I'm going to do. That is going to be negative 1.21, and then you have this 0.00282. So if you put that in, that's going to be 0.0006506. So it looks like C, right? 0.00, or wait, no, 650. Yeah, it looks like it's A, not C. 0.123, 123,650. Yeah, it looks like letter A. Question 20, solve for X. So you could do two options. You can move the two to the right and then cross multiply, or you can get rid of the fraction right now. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to get rid of the fraction by multiplying all three sides by the LCD. What is my LCD? We have an X, we have a 1, and we have a 1. That is X. So we're going to multiply all three sides by X. So X times 4 over X just disappears or replaces 4, plus 2 times X is 2X, equals 6 times X is 6X. Okay, solve for X, we're going to subtract 2X from both sides. So we get 4 equals to 6 minus 2 is 4X. Right, 6X minus 2X is 5. Divide this by 4. X equals 1. Okay, X equals 1. Right, this one, which graph below shows the function y, 5 equals sine of 1/2x, so really y equals 5 sine of 1/2x. So what do we know about this graph? So we know the max is 5 and the min is -5, right? Because if you take the absolute value 5, that means your max 5 and -5. What else do we know? We know that the period is 2 pi over b, or it's 2 pi, and then my b value is the number in front of the x, which is 1/2. So you kind of have like a fraction. It's like that's a complex fraction, so it's 2 pi divided by 1/2. And if you like cross multiply, this is 4 pi. So yeah, it's your period is 4 pi. Okay, and so you need a max of 5, minimum -5, in the period of 4 pi. Um, it looks like maybe C. Double check. Yeah, because it has a max of 5, minimum of 5, and a sine graph does go through the origin, and then a period looks like it's 4 pi, right? So it's a max of 5, minimum 5, sine graph goes through the origin, so yeah, it does. And I think this is the one. Why isn't it not B? Because it's kind of backwards, even though it goes through the origin, it's like flipped. So you have to go this way. Uh, A is off. Yeah, it's too high. So I think, yeah, D is off as well. So I think the best choice is D. 22, solve for X. So in 22, we have to use what's called the law of sine. So the law of sine is going to be what you want to do is pick an angle and a side length that's connected to that angle. So I'm going to do sine of 120 over the side length. 120 is facing directly to 7, so it's going to be 7. And then we're going to do sine. Then I'm going to use angle sine of 30 because it's facing the angle X, which is what we want. Okay. Um, keep a note, sine of 120 and sine of 30, they're both angles within the units. So you could do that, or you can use a decimal and then figure out which one is the correct one. So it's really up to you. Um, yeah, so I'm just going to use the decimal. So it's going to be X. So it's going to be X times sine of 120 equals to 7 sine of 30. And then you want to solve for X, so we'll divide both sides by sine of 120. So this cancels, we're left with X equals 7, 7, 7, 120. And in decimal, it's about 4.04. So which of these is about 4.04? I think it might be D. Let me check. So 7 divided by square root of 3. Yeah, that's about or exactly 4.04. Mhm. Letter D. 23 says which graph below represents the circle x squared plus y squared minus 4x minus 4y equals to -5. So what you got to do is put this in standard formula. So same formulas, parentheses x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals to r squared, right? So you're gonna have to do some completing the squares. So what I first will do is get all the x's on one side. So you have x squared, and then you have -4x, and then you're gonna put a little blank space, and do the same thing with the y's. You have a y squared plus 4y, blank space equals to -5. Okay, so what I put in these blank space, you take half of your b's. If your b is -4, take half of that. That's -2. And then you're gonna square that. That's 4. So you're gonna add 4 here. You've also got to do it on the right. So do the same thing with the y. So if you have 4 here, take half of that. That's 2. Just square that. That's 4. So you're gonna add 4 here, add 4 there. So you get x squared minus 4x plus 4 plus y squared plus 4y plus 4. And then 4 plus 4 is 8. 8 minus 5 is 5. It's 5. 3. Okay, then what we got to do is put this in factor form. So it's going to be x minus 2 squared plus y plus 2. So go back. So half of your b is, yeah, 4, so it's 2, and then 3. So here's our equation of a circle in standard form. So now you know that the center is going to be 2 and -2, and then our radius is um it's not 3, it's actually square root of 3. So radius is square root of 3, which is like a small number, like 1.7. So which of these graphs has a center of 2, -2, and a radius of 1.7? Not A. Is it B? No. Is it C? Yes. It has a center 2, -2, radius of 1.7, maybe. Yes. Is it D? Does this have a center of 2, -2? No. I think it is C. Twenty-four divide 8x squared minus 24x cubed plus 16x squared by 4x squared. So you cannot do synthetic because 4x squared is not, yeah, you cannot do synthetic. So I'm going to do that box thing. That's the only thing we can do. I mean, long division. So just make sure this is in order. We have 4, 3, 2. We are missing x1 and the constant, right? So you're gonna replace that with 0. So it's 8x4 minus 24 x cubed plus 16x squared. And then we're missing an x1, so it's gonna be 0x1 and then plus 0, right? And then you have a 4x squared. So then we got to get rid of this 8x squared. So we're going to need a 2, and then we're going to need an x squared. That's good. 8x squared. Keep on going. 4 times 2 is 8, positive 8. Oh, wait, hold on. So this cancels, then bring down the -24. So I got to get rid of this -24x squared, so I'm going to need a 6. Should I use a positive 6 or a -6? I think I'll use a -6. And then I need one extra x, right? So -6 times 4 is -24, and then we have an x cubed. Remember, you always distribute a minus, so that's why I use a -6, because two negatives become positive, so I cancel. And then bring down the 16x squared, so I'm going to need a 4, and yeah, positive 4, and no more x's. And then the rest is 0, so it's really 2x squared minus 6x plus 4. Also speed. On the unit circle, what are the x and y coordinates of 225? So 225, you just need to know where it is in the unit circle. So where is that in the unit circle? Don't check. Yeah, 225 is right here. It's also 5 pi. It's also 5 pi over 4, right? And that has an x coordinate of negative radical 2 over 2 and a y coordinate of negative radical 2 over 2, right? So it looks like it's B. Why didn't you say it's negative radical 2 over 2? Yes. They didn't rationalize the denominator. So for example, negative 1 over radical 2, if they rationalize the denominator and multiplying both sides by radical 2, you get negative radical 2 over 2. So this is the one. 26. Simplify 8 raised to the fourth. You could just put that in the calculator. That's 16. So C. 27, simplify 2 radical 2. So what you want to do is they basically want you to rationalize the denominator by multiplying both sides, top and bottom, by radical 2. So you get 2 radical 2, and then on the bottom, radical 2 times radical 2 just becomes 2. And then the 2 disappears, you're left with radical 2. D. Question 28. We have to solve for x. What I could do is subtract radical x from both sides. So you get radical x plus 1 equals to 2 minus radical 2. Okay. Now you can square both sides. Okay, so on the here, when you square the radical, it just disappears. On the right, you kind of have to factor this out or FOIL it out, or you could do the shortcut, right? A minus b squared equals a squared minus 2b. It's b squared, right? So it looks like my a is 2 and my b is radical 2. So that's going to be a squared. So that's 4 minus 2 times a, just 2, and my b is radical 2, plus b squared. So that's radical 2 squared. So it's 4, and then negative 2 times 2, that's negative 4 radical 2, plus radical 2 squared is 4, and then we have an x plus 1 here. Okay, so now we have, if I simplify this, you can simplify the 4. Oops, make a mistake. What's radical 2 squared is not 4, it's actually 2. So you have 4 minus 4 radical 2 plus 2, so that's 6 minus 4 radical 2. Now that's plus 1. subtract 1. That's 5 minus 4 radical 2. Uh, Big mistake. I think I made a mistake. Let me clear. Let me do this again. So yes, I do have to subtract. So first I'm going to subtract square root of x for both sides. So you get square root of x plus 1 is to 2 minus radical 2, right? And then I'm going to square both sides. So on the left, when you square the radical, it just disappears. And then on the right, if you FOIL this out, you're going to get 4 minus 4 radical x. Why? Oh, that's why. This is why did I put it? This is an x. That's why it's a bit off. That's there we go. And then this is going to be plus x. There we go. And then what can I do? Just subtract 1 for both sides. So you get x equals hold on. No, actually, if you see the x's, you can subtract the x. There you go. So you have 1 equals to 4 minus 4 radical x, right? And then go ahead and solve for x, you're going to subtract 4. So 1 minus 4 is -3, right? 1 minus 4 is -3. And then you have -4 radical x. And then what should I do next? Get rid of this -4. This is positive 3/4, and then square both sides. You get x equals to 9/16. Okay, that's letter B. Okay, 29. Yeah, what you want to do is simplify this fraction. So when you're adding or subtracting, you need an LCD. So uh, what is my LCD? It is here. Let me stop here. I'm gonna make it, I'll finish off in the next video. So let me stop here.